They rejected you and you disappeared completely. Not gradually, not with drama, not with final speeches about what they lost or who they'll regret or how they'll realize too late. Just disappeared, accepted the rejection, said okay, and vanished from their life so thoroughly it's like you were never there. No texts checking in, no calls asking if they're sure, no social media breadcrumbs, no engineered run-ins, no using mutual friends as information channels, nothing. Complete silence. Total absence. You treated their rejection as final word and acted accordingly, took them at face value when they said they didn't want this, believed them when they said they needed space, accepted their decision and enforced it through your complete withdrawal. And the withdrawal is destroying them. They're not just surprised by the silence, they're devastated by it, broken by it, completely undone by the reality that you actually left, that you actually meant it when you accepted the rejection, that you're actually gone in ways they didn't think you'd be gone. They expected you to fight, expected you to convince them they were wrong, expected you to pursue them the way you'd pursued them through every other withdrawal, expected the rejection to be opening move in negotiation, not final move in ending. But you treated it as ending, absolute ending. An absolute ending is teaching them something their defended state never learned, that some decisions are permanent, that some people when pushed away stay away, that rejection can cost you the person, that they don't have the control they thought they had. That power isn't in rejecting someone, power is in being able to walk away from rejection and never look back. Your silence is destroying them because it's undeniable evidence you don't need them. While you were responsive, while you were pursuing, while you were there trying to close the distance they created, they could tell themselves you needed them, that you were dependent, that you couldn't function without them. The belief gave them security, gave them power, gave them confidence they could reject you and you'd remain available for when they wanted you back. But your silence destroyed all of that, proved you don't need them, proved you're functioning fine without them, proved you can let them go completely, and being let go by someone who you thought couldn't let go is discovering you're not as important as your ego needed you to be, is discovering you're dispensable, replaceable, not necessary, and not necessary is destroying their sense of self, their confidence, their defended belief about their own significance. Why silence after their rejection is the ultimate power move. Silence is you taking them at their word. They said they didn't want this. You believed them. They said they needed space. You gave them infinite space by removing yourself entirely. They said it's over. You accepted it's over and acted accordingly. The taking them at their word is power because it removes their ability to control the aftermath. They can't negotiate with silence, can't manage distance, that's complete. They're used to rejecting while maintaining some thread of connection, used to pushing away while keeping door open, used to ending things while staying available. But you removed the thread, closed the door, made yourself unavailable. The complete removal is you having final word, having control over the terms, having power through your absence that their presence while rejecting could never have. Silence is also power because it's creating the conditions they claimed they wanted while teaching them they didn't actually want those conditions. They wanted space. You gave them total space by disappearing. They wanted freedom. You gave them complete freedom by not contacting them ever. They wanted to be alone. You gave them absolute aloneness by removing yourself from their life. The giving them what they claimed creates cognitive dissonance. They're experiencing what they said they wanted and discovering it's not what they actually wanted. What they actually wanted was space while you remained available, freedom while you stayed connected, aloneness while you maintained the relationship. But you gave them the stated want without the unstated but actual want. And the gap between what they said they wanted and what they actually wanted is destroying them, is teaching them they don't know themselves, don't know what they want, don't know how to communicate wants, and not knowing is them being confronted with their own dishonesty, with themselves and with you. Your silence is power because it's making them experience what you experienced. You experienced rejection, experienced being unwanted, experienced being pushed away, experienced the pain of loving someone who couldn't love you back. Now they're experiencing rejection through your silence, rejecting them. Experiencing being unwanted through your absence, communicating you don't want them. Experiencing being pushed away through your total withdrawal. Experiencing the pain of wanting someone who won't return the wanting. The role reversal is them learning through experience what they put you through. And experiential learning is more powerful than any explanation. You couldn't tell them what rejection felt like in ways that would make them understand. But your silence is making them feel what rejection feels like. And feeling it is understanding it. And understanding it is them being destroyed by recognition of what they did to you now being done to them through their own rejected pursuit of the silence you're maintaining. The specific ways your silence is destroying their defended identity. Your silence is destroying their belief that they're the one who cares less. Their identity is built on being less invested, less affected, less needy, the person who could take or leave the relationship, the person with power through caring less. But your silence is proving you care even less than they do. You cared so little about their rejection that you didn't fight it, didn't argue, didn't try to change their mind, just accepted and left. The acceptance without fight is you caring less than they care. And caring less means having more power. And you having more power means their identity as person who cares less is destroyed, is false. Is proven false by your silence demonstrating you care least of all. So little you can disappear completely. So little you don't need final word or closure or negotiation. Just gone. And gone is them losing the identity that protected them. That gave them power. That made them feel safe. Gone is them being the one who cares more. And caring more is vulnerable position they've organized their life around never being in. The silence is also destroying their belief that they're unforgettable. They thought rejecting you would make you remember them forever, would make them permanent presence in your mind, would make you carry them as one who got away. But silence is suggesting you're forgetting them, moving on from them, making them irrelevant. The suggestion of being forgotten is destroying their ego, their sense of importance, their belief that they matter enough to be remembered. They need to be remembered, need to be thought about, need to be present in your mind, even if absent from your life. But silence gives them no evidence of being remembered, no evidence of being thought about, no evidence of mattering. Just nothing. And nothing is terrifying to someone whose identity depends on mattering, on being significant, on being unforgettable to people they've been intimate with. Your silence is destroying their belief that their patterns are manageable. They've been doing the same patterns with everyone. Withdrawing, rejecting, creating distance, and patterns always worked because people always came back. Always gave more chances, always maintained connection despite the patterns. The always coming back taught them patterns are sustainable, are manageable. Don't cost them relationships because relationships persist despite patterns. But your silence is destroying that belief. Teaching them patterns cost them you, cost them permanently, cost them someone who won't come back, won't give more chances, won't maintain connection. The permanent cost is evidence patterns aren't manageable, are destructive, create losses that can't be undone. And seeing patterns as destructive rather than protective is identity crisis. Is their entire defensive structure being revealed as costing them what it claims to protect them from? Protection from loss, creating loss. Protection from abandonment, creating abandonment. Protection from pain, creating more pain. The revelation is destroying their belief system, their justification for patterns, their defended way of moving through world. What they're discovering about themselves through your silence, they're discovering they were depending on you in ways they didn't acknowledge. Your presence was regulating them. Your availability was making them feel secure. Your pursuit was proving they mattered. Your patience was accommodating their defended state in ways that allowed them to stay defended while having relationship. The depending was invisible while you were there, but your absence is making it visible. Is revealing they were dependent, were needing you, were relying on you for things they didn't admit to themselves they needed. The discovery of hidden dependence is humiliating, is destroying their identity as independent person who doesn't need anyone, is proving they're not self-sufficient, are just defended while depending on others to accommodate the defended state, and being dependent while performing independent is being revealed as fraud, as lie they told themselves. As false identity your silence is destroying through proving they can't function well without you. They're also discovering they can't control their own feelings. They thought they could decide not to care, could choose not to be affected, could control their emotional response through will and defended state. But your silence is creating feelings they can't control. Missing you, they can't stop. Obsessive thinking about you, they can't prevent. Regret that's consuming them despite attempts to rationalize it away. The uncontrollable feelings are destroying their belief that feelings are manageable, that emotional state is controllable, that they can stay defended against feeling through sheer force of will, but they can't. The feelings are happening despite the defense, are breaking through the walls. are destroying them from inside through emotions they can't control and can't defend against, because the feelings are their own feelings, and own feelings are enemy they can't fight, can't escape from, can only experience. And experiencing uncontrollable feelings is them discovering they're human in ways their defended state tried to prevent them from being human. Your silence is teaching them they're capable of regret in ways they denied. They performed not regretting, performed moving on easily from ended relationships, performed being unbothered by their patterns costing them people. But your silence created regret they can't perform away. Regret that's real, that's deep, that's consuming them. The undeniable regret is proof they're capable of depth they claimed they weren't capable of. Capable of caring deeply enough that loss creates lasting pain. Capable of attachment strong enough that severed attachment creates devastation. The capability for depth is destroying their defended identity as person incapable of deep feeling. Is proving the incapability was performance, was defense, was lie. And truth is they're capable of feeling everything they claimed they couldn't feel. And capable means responsible, means they could have felt more while with you, could have been less defended, could have chosen differently. And could have is permanent regret. Is your silence teaching them they destroyed something while capable of not destroying it? And that's the worst kind of regret. Regret about choice, not circumstance. About pattern, not bad luck. About self-destruction, not external destruction. The progression of emotions they're experiencing as your silence continues. First hours and days, relief mixed with expectation. They feel relieved the pressure is off, relieved they got the space they wanted. But underneath relief is expectation. Expectation that you'll reach out soon. That you're just taking time to process, that the silence is temporary cooling off before you come back. The expectation allows them to stay comfortable, to not fully face what happened, to believe everything will be fine because you'll contact them and things will resume in some form. Days to weeks, confusion replacing relief. The silence continues longer than expected. They start wondering why you haven't reached out. Start checking if they missed message. Start looking for signs you're thinking about them. The confusion is them not understanding, not having framework for someone being this completely silent after rejection, not knowing how to interpret absence that gives them nothing to interpret. The confusion creates low-level anxiety, creates need to know what you're thinking, creates first doubts about whether you're coming back. Weeks to months, panic setting in. The realization hits that silence might be permanent, that you might actually be gone, that rejection might have cost them you in ways they never intended. The panic is attachment system activating, is them recognizing they're losing you, is fear becoming primary emotion, fear that it's too late, fear that they destroyed something irreplaceable, fear that silence will never break. The panic often drives them to break silence themselves, to reach out, to try to restore contact. The reaching out is them in crisis. Is defense cracking under pressure of permanent loss they can't accept? Months ongoing, grief or transformation. If you maintain silence through their reach out, if you don't respond even when they pursue, the grief deepens, becomes acceptance that you're gone, becomes mourning of what was lost, becomes carrying you as permanent loss. The grief is painful but potentially productive if it drives them to therapy, if it drives examination of patterns, if it drives change. Or grief can become depression, can become bitterness, can become resignation, can become them staying stuck in loss without using loss as catalyst. The path from grief to growth or grief to stuck is determined by whether they do the work. Most won't. Will just grieve. Will carry loss without learning from loss. Your silence created opportunity for growth. Whether they take opportunity is their choice. Choice most don't make. Why they're realizing too late what they actually lost. They're realizing they lost understanding they'll never find again. Understanding is rare. Most people don't understand them, don't see beneath surface, don't recognize their patterns as defense against wounds, don't have patience for their defended state. But you understood, saw beneath surface, recognized patterns, had patience. The understanding made them feel known in ways they're not known by others, made them feel less alone, made them feel like maybe they weren't as broken as they feared. But they took understanding for granted, thought everyone would understand them the way you did, or didn't value understanding as much as they valued defended comfort. Now they're with people who don't understand, who take their patterns personally, who judge their defended state, who don't see them at all. And not being understood is lonely, is isolating, is teaching them that understanding is a rare gift they destroyed by rejecting person who understood them. They're realizing they lost patience that was extraordinary. You gave them patience beyond what most people give. Patience with their patterns, patience with their inconsistency, patience with their defended inability to meet you. The patience wasn't weakness or desperation like they told themselves, was strength, was you having capacity to hold space for their process, without sacrificing yourself to their process. Was you loving them while maintaining yourself, but they didn't see it as strength, saw it as guaranteed, as unlimited resource, as thing that would always be there. Now they're seeing that patience runs out, that yours ran out, that it wasn't unlimited. Had limit, and they reached it. And reaching limit cost them person who had extraordinary patience. Now they're with people who have ordinary patience. Patience that runs out quickly. Patience that doesn't accommodate their patterns at all. And experiencing ordinary patience is teaching them yours was extraordinary, was gift, was thing they should have valued instead of taking for granted. They're realizing they lost safety they won't find again. You were safe. They could be real with you, could drop defenses, could be struggling or flawed or human. You wouldn't judge, wouldn't weaponize their vulnerability, wouldn't require them to be perfect. The safety is rarest thing. Most people aren't safe. Most people judge. Most people use vulnerability against you. Most people require performance. But you were different, created space where performance could rest, where they could be themselves, where flaws were acceptable, where humanity was allowed. They rejected safety, rejected rare thing, rejected thing everyone needs. And living without safety is them performing for everyone now. Never dropping defense, never being real. Never being human with anyone. And never being human is exhausting, is isolating, is teaching them that safety they rejected was thing they needed most, was thing that made life bearable, was thing they destroyed by rejecting you. And destroyed safety is consequence they're living with. Is there never being safe again because the one person who provided safety is maintaining silence that keeps her safety away from person who took her safety for granted? How your silence is teaching them lessons words never could. Words are abstract, explanations are intellectual. You could have told them about consequences, about patterns costing people, about taking for granted leading to loss. But telling doesn't teach the way experiencing teaches. Your silence is experiential education, is them living the consequence, feeling the cost. Experiencing the loss, the living it is teaching at level words never reach. Teaching their nervous system, not just their mind. Teaching through pain that embeds the lesson. Through regret that makes lesson unforgettable. Through missing that keeps lesson present every single day. The experiential teaching is why silence is destroying them, is why it's more powerful than any speech about their patterns, is why it's teaching them what years of you explaining never taught them. Your silence is also teaching them that your boundary was real. You told them what you needed, told them what you wouldn't tolerate, told them you had limits. But telling didn't make them believe. They thought boundaries were negotiable, thought limits were flexible, thought you'd tolerate anything because you loved them. But silence is teaching them boundaries were real, limits were real. Tolerance had endpoint. The real boundary is lesson they needed. Lesson that will affect every future relationship. They'll know now that some people mean what they say, that some boundaries aren't negotiable, that some limits when reached create permanent endings. The knowing might make them more careful, more respectful of boundaries, more aware that words predict actions and actions have consequences. Or knowing might make them more defended, more careful not to let anyone close enough to have boundaries they could violate. Either way, your silence taught them. Taught through boundary, enforced so completely, there's no ambiguity about whether boundary was real. Your silence is teaching them about self-love through watching you love yourself. You loved yourself enough to leave when unmet, loved yourself enough to enforce your boundary, loved yourself enough to choose your well-being over their comfort. The self-love is modeling, is showing them what it looks like, what it requires, what it costs. Most of them have never seen self-love modeled, have never watched someone choose themselves over relationship, have never experienced someone loving themselves enough to walk away from love that doesn't serve them. Your silence is education in self-love. Is them watching you demonstrate that loving yourself sometimes means leaving, means saying no, means protecting yourself even when protection means being alone. The education might inspire them, might teach them to love themselves, might show them model of self-love they could emulate. or might just make them angry, make them blame you for choosing yourself. Make them resent you for modeling self-love they're incapable of. Either way, you taught them. Through silence that demonstrates self-love in action. Through absence that proves you valued yourself more than you valued having them. Through boundary that shows self-love is real thing, is necessary thing, is thing worth maintaining even when maintaining it destroys relationship. Why your silence is the gift they don't deserve but desperately need. The silence is giving them crisis. Crisis is opportunity. Crisis painful enough might drive them to therapy, might drive them to face their patterns and do work of changing patterns, might be catalyst that transforms them. The might is why silence is gift, is creating conditions for growth, creating pain severe enough to overcome their defended resistance to growth, creating loss significant enough to motivate change. Most people who love avoidance enable them. Soften consequences. Give endless chances, allow patterns to continue. But you're not enabling, you're creating consequence severe enough to potentially drive change. That's gift of crisis that contains possibility of transformation. Your silence is also gift of honesty. You're being honest with them through your actions. Honest that their patterns don't work for you. Honest that you're not available to a relationship that requires you to sacrifice yourself. Honest that you're done. The honesty is gift, even if painful gift. Most people aren't honest with avoidance, stay past their limits while building resentment, pretend to accept patterns while being hurt by patterns, give chances while knowing chances won't lead to change. But you're honest through your silence, through your absence being clear communication, this doesn't work for me, I'm choosing myself, I'm gone. The clarity is gift, is them knowing exactly where they stand. Knowing you're not coming back unless something significant changes, knowing the ball is in their court, knowing they have to do the work if they want you back. Knowing without ambiguity creates clear choice. Change or lose you permanently. The clear choice is gift. Gift of knowing exactly what's required, what's at stake, what they need to do. Most people don't give avoidance this clarity. You did, through silence that communicates clearly what words never communicated. Your silence is gift of respect. Respect for their rejection. Respect for their stated want for space. Respect for their decision even when their decision hurt you. The respect is you taking them seriously, taking their words as truth, taking their decision as final unless they demonstrate through actions that they've changed their mind and their capacity. The being taken seriously is gift. Is you treating them as adult, capable of knowing what they want and being responsible for what they want. Most people don't respect avoidance rejection, pursue despite rejection, try to change their mind. Don't take no for answer, but you respected the no, took it seriously, acted accordingly. The respect is you giving them dignity, dignity of being believed, dignity of having their words taken as meaningful, dignity of being adult whose decisions matter. That's gift, even if gift is painful, even if respecting their decision means losing them. You gave them dignity of respect. And respect is thing people need, thing that honors them even when honoring them means walking away from them. The final truth about your silence destroying them. They rejected you. You went silent. The silence is destroying them in ways they never anticipated. Is teaching them about consequences, about loss, about themselves, about you. Is destroying their defended identity, their false beliefs, their protected ego. Is creating suffering that's severe, that's lasting, that's changing them whether they want to change or not. The destruction is appropriate. Is natural result of rejection meeting boundary, of pattern meeting consequence, of defended incapacity meeting self-love that requires capacity. Whether the destruction leads to reconstruction is their choice. Whether they use the pain as catalyst or just suffer through pain is their path. Whether they grow or stay stuck is their work or lack of work. The destruction happened. The teaching occurred. Your silence did its work. What they do with the work is theirs. Your job is maintaining the silence, maintaining the boundary, maintaining yourself. Protecting yourself from patterns that prove themselves destructive. Living your life. Building your future. Growing into a person who knows her worth and requires people capable of meeting that worth. They're destroyed by your silence. You're freed by it. Both are exactly right. Both are perfect outcomes of their rejection meeting your strength. Their patterns meeting your boundary. Their defended inability meeting your self-love that won't sacrifice itself to their inability anymore. They're destroyed. Let them be destroyed. Destruction is consequence. Is teaching, is maybe catalyst. What they do with it is theirs. Your silence continues. Your freedom continues, your growth continues. And all of that is exactly what should be happening. How your silence is revealing what they truly valued versus what they claimed to value. They claimed they valued independence, valued space, valued freedom from relationship pressure. The claiming was their defended narrative, was explanation for why they withdrew, why they rejected, why they couldn't meet you. But your silence is revealing what they actually valued. And what they actually valued was your availability while they stayed independent. Your connection while they maintained space. Your pursuit while they had freedom. The actual value was contradictory to claimed value, was them wanting both, wanting to be alone but not lonely, wanting to be free but not abandoned, wanting independence while depending on you to accommodate their independence. Your silence removed what they actually valued while giving them what they claimed to value. And the gap between claim and reality is destroying them, is showing them they didn't know themselves, didn't know what they wanted, were lying to themselves about what they needed. The self-deception revealed is humiliating, is them facing they built life on false premise, on claimed values that weren't their actual values. Your silence is also revealing they valued control more than they valued you. While relationship existed, they controlled the distance, controlled the intimacy, controlled when to be close and when to withdraw. The control made them feel safe, made them feel powerful, made them feel like relationship couldn't hurt them because they controlled the terms. But they chose control over you. When forced to choose between maintaining control through rejection and maintaining connection with you, they chose control. The choice revealed their priority, revealed that defended comfort mattered more than actual relationship, that power through control mattered more than intimacy through vulnerability. The revelation is them seeing their values clearly, seeing that they sacrifice relationship for control. And sacrificing relationship for control is them facing they valued wrong thing, valued protection over connection, valued safety over love, valued defended state over actual person. And seeing that clearly is destroying their self-image, their sense of themselves as people capable of love. Their belief that they wanted relationship. They didn't want relationship. They wanted control with appearance of relationship. And appearance is what they got through their choice. Now they have control. Complete control and nothing else. And control without connection is what your silence is teaching them they chose. The silence is revealing they valued you more than they could admit. While you were there, they minimized your importance, minimized how much you mattered, minimized their attachment. The minimizing was defense, was them protecting themselves from knowing how much they cared because knowing would make them vulnerable. But your silence is making the caring undeniable, is creating missing they can't minimize. Creating obsessive thinking that proves you mattered more than they admitted, creating devastation that reveals the depth of attachment they denied. The undeniable caring is destroying their defense, their minimization, their protected narrative that you didn't matter that much. You mattered enormously. Matter enormously. And mattering is what they were defending against. And defending against mattering cost them the person who mattered. And costing them person who mattered is consequence of defending against admitting mattering. Your silence is consequence making clear what they defended against, making undeniable what they denied, making them face that they loved you more than they could admit, and protecting themselves from admitting it cost them you. What happens when they realize your silence is permanent? The realization doesn't happen all at once, happens gradually, through their attempts to break silence failing, through time passing without you returning, through watching you move forward without them. The gradual realization is worse than sudden realization would be, is slow torture, is them losing hope incrementally, is certainty about your permanence building day by day until uncertainty becomes impossible to maintain. And when certainty arrives, when they finally accept that silence is permanent, that you're not coming back, that loss is final, the acceptance is devastation but breaks something fundamental in them. Some break toward growth. The breaking toward growth is rare, is then using devastation as motivation, using permanent loss as wake-up call, using your absence as evidence they need to change. They pursue therapy, actually pursue it. Consistently, for years, they do the work of processing attachment wounds, developing emotional regulation, learning vulnerability, building capacity for intimacy. They use your silence as catalyst, use the pain as fuel, use the loss as teacher. The growth through loss is beautiful, is them becoming different people, people capable of intimacy, people capable of sustaining relationship, people capable of being what they couldn't be with you. But the growth usually comes too late, comes after you're gone, comes after they've lost you permanently. They become capable after capability would have mattered. They transform after transformation would have saved relationship. The too late growth is permanent regret, is them carrying you forever as person they lost before they became person who could have kept you. Most break towards defended resignation. The breaking toward resignation is them accepting they're incapable, accepting they'll always be this way, accepting relationships don't work for them. The acceptance is defense, is them protecting themselves from hope, from trying, from risking again. They become more defended after losing you, more convinced intimacy isn't for them, more committed to staying alone. The defended resignation is them letting your silence teach them wrong lesson, teach them that vulnerability costs too much, that attachment creates too much pain, that defending is right strategy and your loss is just price of defending. The wrong lesson learned is tragedy, is them using loss to justify patterns instead of using loss to change patterns, is them staying exactly as broken as they were, possibly more broken, carrying you as evidence that love doesn't work instead of evidence that their defended approach to love doesn't work. Some break toward bitterness. The breaking toward bitterness is them making you villain, making your silence into your cruelty, making your boundary into your attack. The bitterness is defense through blame, through making loss your fault instead of consequence of their patterns. They tell themselves you are too harsh, too unforgiving, too cold. The telling themselves protects them from accountability, from facing their role, from recognizing your silence was appropriate response to their rejection. The bitterness hardens over time, becomes story they tell. Story where they're victim of your cruelty, where you're a bad person who abandoned them, where loss is your character flaw, not their pattern creating natural consequence. The bitter story is them staying stuck, staying defended, staying unable to grow because growth requires accountability and bitterness is defense against accountability. Why some part of them will always wonder what could have been. Your silence created permanent unknown, unknown about whether they could have changed, unknown about whether relationship could have worked, unknown about what life with you would have looked like if they'd been capable. The unknown is permanent wondering, is then carrying forever the question of what if. What if they'd been different? What if they'd done therapy earlier? What if they'd chosen vulnerability over defense? What if they'd valued you over control? The what ifs are permanent companions, are thoughts that surface randomly, are wonderings that never resolve because resolution would require actually becoming different and being with you. But you're gone. So wondering stays wondering. And permanent wondering is permanent incompleteness, is story without ending, is relationship without resolution, is you as eternal question mark in their life story. The wondering intensifies when they see you're thriving, when they see through mutual friends or social media or random encounters that you're happy, that you're healthy, that you're with someone else or beautifully alone, that you've moved on completely. The thriving is evidence that you didn't need them, that you're better without them, that silence wasn't you suffering through loss, but you choosing growth through loss. The evidence creates more wondering, more what if, more questioning whether they could have had that thriving if they'd been different, whether they could have been part of your happiness instead of being left behind by your happiness. The wondering while watching you thrive is torment, is them seeing clearly what they lost, seeing you flourishing in absence of them, seeing that you're not just surviving their loss, but thriving through their loss. And thriving without them is final proof they weren't necessary, weren't needed, weren't important enough to prevent you from building beautiful life without them in it. The wondering becomes especially acute during their lonely moments, during times when they wish they had someone, when they want connection, when they need support. The lonely wondering is them thinking you could have been that someone, could have been their connection, could have been their support. But they rejected it, rejected you, and rejection is permanent through your silence, making it permanent. The lonely knowing they rejected solution to their loneliness is particular torture, is them being lonely while knowing they chose loneliness, while knowing they had option for connection and destroyed it, while knowing you were there and they pushed you away and now you're not there and they can't undo the pushing away. The torture is appropriate consequence, is them living with their choice, living with what their patterns created, living with destruction they caused while being unable to rebuild what they destroyed. How your silence has changed you in ways that make their loss permanent even if they change. Your silence wasn't just boundary protecting you from them. Was space you used to grow. You grew through the silence, grew stronger through maintaining it, grew clearer through experiencing what life without their patterns feels like, grew into person who knows herself better, values herself more, requires more from relationships. The growth is transformation. Is you becoming different person who wouldn't tolerate what you tolerated before, person who wouldn't stay through what you stayed through before, person who wouldn't give chances you gave before. The transformed you is person who, even if they change, would need to evaluate whether changed them is capable of meeting transformed you. And meeting transformed you requires more capacity than meeting old you required. Requires sustained capacity, proven capacity. Capacity demonstrated over time, not claimed through words. You also learned through the silence, learned that you're stronger than you thought, learned that you can survive loss you feared would destroy you, learned that being alone is better than being with someone who can't meet you, learned that silence is powerful, learned that boundary is self-love, learned that you're whole without them. The learning is wisdom, is knowledge earned through experience, is understanding of yourself and relationships that you didn't have before. The wisdom makes you different, makes you someone who sees patterns clearly, who recognizes defended behavior immediately, who won't accommodate avoidance the way you accommodated it before. The wisdom changed you is person who's harder to deceive, harder to manipulate, harder to get close to for people who operate from defended state. Even if they changed, even if they developed capacity, they'd be approaching you who's wiser, you who sees through performance, you who requires proof not promises, and approaching wise you is harder than approaching naive you was. Your silence also created life without them. Life you built, life you're living, life that's full, that's satisfying, that's working. The life without them is beautiful, is proof you didn't need them, is evidence you're complete without them. And complete without them means even if they returned changed, you'd be evaluating whether adding them to complete life improves life. Whether change then is better than the satisfying solo life you've built. Whether relationship with them, even if healthy, is better than the healthy relationship you have with yourself. The evaluation is different math than before. Before you needed them, needed relationship to feel complete, needed their love to feel worthy, needed them in your life to feel like life was working. But now you don't need them, don't need relationship, don't need their validation, don't need them to feel complete. The not needing is freedom, is power, is you being whole person who could choose them but doesn't need them. And not needing means they'd have to offer something extraordinary to be worth including in life that's already extraordinary without them. The permanent ways your silence taught them about themselves and about you. Your silence taught them they're capable of devastation they denied. They thought they were fine, thought they were unbothered, thought they could reject people and move on easily. But your silence created devastation, created pain they couldn't deny, created missing that proved they attached deeper than they admitted. The teaching is them learning they're human, human in ways their defended state tried to prevent. Human meaning capable of pain, capable of regret, capable of loss that matters. The humanity revealed is gift, is them seeing themselves truly, seeing that defended state doesn't protect them from pain, just delays pain, concentrates pain, makes pain worse through adding regret to loss. They're human. Your silence taught them, and human means capable of growth if they choose growth, or capable of continued suffering if they choose defense. Either way, human means responsible, means their patterns create their outcomes, means they're not victims of circumstances, they're creators of circumstances. And creating their circumstances is responsibility they can't escape from now that your silence taught them their responsibility. Your silence taught them about you, taught them you're stronger than they thought, more boundaried than they realized, more capable of walking away than they predicted. The teaching is them seeing you clearly for first time, seeing not the accommodating person who adjusted to their patterns, seeing the strong person who knew when to stop adjusting, knew when patterns were destroying her, knew when to choose herself. The seeing you clearly is them understanding they lost someone extraordinary, someone rare, someone who combined empathy with boundaries, understanding with self-protection, love with self-love. The extraordinary you is person they'll compare everyone to, person who becomes standard, person who proves to them what's possible when someone is both soft and strong, both loving and boundaried, both understanding and unwilling to sacrifice themselves to someone else's patterns. The standard you set is permanent measurement tool, is them measuring every future person against person who went silent, Against person who taught them through silence more than anyone taught them through words. Against person who loved them enough to leave them when leaving was healthiest choice for both of them. Your silence taught them that some consequences are permanent, that some losses can't be undone, that some decisions can't be taken back, that rejection can cost you the person permanently. The teaching is wisdom they needed, wisdom that might prevent future losses, might make them more careful, more aware, more conscious of consequences, or might just be wisdom they carry as pain, as regret, as permanent knowledge that they destroyed something irreplaceable. Either way, wisdom is there, is planted, is permanent truth they learned through your silence, through your absence, through your boundary that never broke. They're destroyed by your silence, changed by your silence, taught by your silence. And all the destroying and changing and teaching is exactly what should have happened when defended rejection met strong boundary, when their pattern met your self-love, when their incapacity met your unwillingness to sacrifice yourself to their incapacity anymore. They're destroyed. You're free, both are right, both are necessary, both are perfect outcomes of them choosing rejection and you choosing silence. And silence teaching them everything they needed to learn about themselves, about you, about consequences, about love, about loss, about what happens when you reject someone strong enough to accept rejection completely and walk away completely and never look back. Your silence destroyed them. Let it. Destruction is consequence, is teaching, is them learning what they needed to learn, even if learning came too late to save what they lost through learning it.